Hi, this is Nick Heyward and you're watching Music News. Cheers.
Nick Heyward, it's great to see you. How are you doing today?
Good, yes. Relax now.
Good stuff.
In between traffic.
You're promoting the 80s Invasion Tour with Big Country, Major, Curiosity Killed the Cat in March. Looking forward to that?
Yeah, I am. I know the songs. And that's a nice feeling, genuinely, because it's just lovely. It's like heartwarming to know that you know these songs, and you know, even if you're thinking about something else, they come out of your mouth and they get performed. I love that.
Yeah.
It's just like you've learnt them. Wow. You know.
Were you good friends with the other bands at the time?
Not the time, but now. Yeah.
Yeah, now,
yeah.
Obviously. How did it all come together, the lineup and the selection of bands?
I haven't got a clue. In fact, I was late on it. I think Claire Grogan was doing it. I think so. I think that's what it was, and I just, you know, I just said yes because of those great venues. Yeah. And lovely people, lovely venues.
Absolutely.
Great money.
that's always important.
It's like, yeah, how can you say no? I mean, it's like, I tried.
And it's Nick Heyward and not Haircut 100. Is that so you can play all the rest of your body of work too?
Yeah, I'll do just a selection of the songs from the 80s. So there'll be Whistle Down the Wind, Blue Hat for a Blue Day, Take That Situation. So they're all songs. But you know, I'd love to do a tour with Haircut and play just that Haircut 100 stuff, and at some point be fantastic. In fact, Mark in the band has just moved. We've something's happened and we've gone like this, and then we're neighbours.
Really?
I love that. It's kind of like, yeah. So hopefully we can get it together. That'd be really good.
Yeah, but I was there at Indigo in 2011.
Well, there we are. And
yeah.
Mark and Phil weren't there. Couldn't get them on the bill. So. Hopefully, I just love to. My goal has been the whole band playing together.
That was a real special moment. It must have been. For you as well.
It was special, but not as special as Islington beforehand.
Yeah.
That was really special because that was done by a program. It's normally a TV program that can get us all back together, and I think it's because they're just their organisation skills. Because it's when it's just down to other things, then it doesn't happen. But it was 4 of us, so that was good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But it'd be lovely, all of us, all 6. The whole smile.
No, it sounded fantastic.
You know, because that's when it really happens. I mean, musically, it really happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit after hit, really. But what is it with this endless fascination that we have with the 80s then?
It was a good period for songs. I remember not thinking that at the time. But it's things just go, decades get left behind, you know, like bits of driftwood. Then they get rediscovered, and those driftwood, like Alfred Wallace paintings, suddenly well, I know it was naive at the time, and it was only just painted just for now. But wow, actually, that's really good. The recordings of those times, I remember at the time thinking, oh, this is not as good as the 70s stuff that went before, and definitely not as good as the 60s and 50s, wow, and then 40s, oh my god. But as things move on, I think that people just say, wow. I mean, you know, if you look at all of Madness's songs, look at them, they're just like, they're like beautiful soldiers all lined up, aren't they, with great hats and beautifully polished brass.
Yeah, because at the time it was almost, I mean, obviously I can remember it well, there was a sort of almost a throwaway element to the songs.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's become the reverse, if anything.
Yeah, the whole thing was throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody was in music to do something different. You know, you didn't, so that's why it just kept changing all the time.
Yeah.
You didn't get in a band to conform or be like anyone else. It was always, you know, how different you could be, even though there were kind of like waves, little, you know, cultural waves that kept coming over and bringing a load of people with it at one point. And, you know, Haircut 100 was part of a little Brit funk wave, ABC, Funkopolitan.
Yeah, great times. Anyway, but getting back to the modern day, I heard your new album preview, very upbeat, feel good, sunny music, classic Nick Heyward, I would say, and written with your son Oliver, I guess. So, I mean, what was, why after 10 years did you decide to record an album, and what's the inspiration behind it?
Well, actually, I don't know why I didn't at first. I remember in 1998, 99, it was pretty tricky once you didn't have backing to make albums, because studios were like, I don't know, 1,900 a day, 800 if you could get a deal, and then that went down probably like 2,000. It went down to 6, and then they went to 5 and 3 and 4, and right the way down. And then home studios started coming in, and then all these fantastic, the social media that's happened and everything, and you can just make music. So, I was quite late in coming into that, and I got ill in 2010, but I was making an album beforehand at home. Literally, I got just a microphone and laptop, and I went to write the normal way, but I thought, wouldn't it be lovely? I've always wanted to do this, to just write like we're having this conversation now. I'm not planning this. It's just coming. It's the conversations come.
Yeah.
We're all creative. We can all make conversations up. And so I was doing that. I switched on record, and every time I just sang and played something, it would come out. It would just come out, and it was surprising to watch what came out. I'd be thinking, "Ooh, wow! I wouldn't have written a song like that." It was just observing these things happening, and I would play for 3 minutes and then stop. And so there would be 3-minute songs. So that's what I thought I was going to release. And I was going to call it Homemade Jam, because it was just, and then sell it on something like, I think it was MySpace was around at the time. But that didn't happen. I've still got all those recordings somewhere, and I might share them. But it inspired to sort of start recording properly again, and with Ollie. And then I thought, and then you could do this stuff, and it sounded pretty similar to how you'd sounded before. And that's what I did. And then I started to connect working with Ollie, but we couldn't work with drums because it was in Ollie's bedroom, my son Oliver. And then I went over to see, my girlfriend and I went to see her parents who had moved from Minnesota to Florida. And my friend Ian, who I did all the 90s stuff and all the guitar-y stuff and everything, he was down in Key West. He'd moved over there. He moved over looking like a map. It's like a map now. I'm a bird. And he bought this houseboat, and then he put a little studio in it. It was that little on the map, but it was like this. It was really it was quite about the size of this room. Actually half the size of this room, because it's not that big. Anyway. And so found myself visiting, and we just started picking up as we went a lot. It was like, wow, this stuff sounds like the last album, The Apple Bed. Okay. And then, the lovely thing about putting the album preview out is, Sarah, my lovely lady, knows about the internet, and she's ran a record label for a while and things, so together we made little films and put that out, and it's just build it and they will come, and suddenly I'm doing another album, but listening to it, I just thought, wow, I don't know why that 15 years, this could have just happened then, but of course it couldn't have, because I didn't have any, the things weren't in place, the social media wasn't in place, and you can actually just start making albums now, which is really good.
Incredible.
You can.
What is the have you got a working title? Have you got a title of the album?
I'd like to go to the fridge. Bricklaying, just quite a few. The Seas of Love, Mo Plantley and the Sneenities, Delaware Flying was another one.
I mean, there's a few. You got Like a Butterfly, I Got a Lot, Baby Blue Sky. Are these all titles of songs? Then?
Yeah, they are. There's more. We've got a list. I've got a list of them here on my phone. This is funny having phones, isn't it? Because it's like a connection to Baby Blue Sky, Perfect Sunday Sun, I Can See Her, For Always, Make It Happen, On a Mountaintop, Make It Happen on a Mountaintop, Love is the Key by the Sea, The Stars, Sweet Meadow, Who, yeah.
So is the album done?
There's lots, yeah.
Finished?
Well, it's all recorded and mixing at the moment, and that's that actually, yeah, to get it mixed. Ollie and I are going to try it, and Ian's trying in America as well. But he might have to, you know, it costs a bit. People want, you know, the mixing thing does. You know, you can record it.
The video did have quite an American feel as well. Is that going to come across in the music?
I think so. Yeah, there's loads of sunshine. Loads of sunshine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
And it was just like, Key West is this vibrant place full of iguana, bright lime green creatures, manatees, pelicans, and literally where I was living was like, I think Haircut 100, we wanted to do a film. There was like we were going to do a TV series at one point, and it was going to be set in a marina, and I felt like I was living in that, like many years later, because this was a fishing marina with pelicans everywhere, and the boat a few along was actually called Pelican West. Pelican Key West, and I got a picture of it. It'll probably take a while to find.
Yeah, no.
I scroll through naked pictures of my loved one, obviously.
And then will it be sort of self-released then?
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Is it going to be on your own label, as it were, the album?
Do you know? I don't know. I mean, it's just, yeah, I'm putting it out as Nick Heyward, but I mean, who knows? They're just. I just make it anyway. The other stuff, it happens. You know. It's always that. There's no pressure because there's no record company or stuff. So I could call myself anything. It could be I've always wanted to actually have a band name, because that's how Haircut 100 came. It was like, you know, just make it up. I mean, we didn't even really have a band when we started. It was only we were three mates, you know, and we didn't have a drummer or anything. It was just like, okay, let's do a band thing, and we just started playing together.
Didn't turn out too badly.
Yeah, well, you start doing it, isn't it? It's a process of doing. That's how it happens.
And even on that video, you finish off with a great piano bit at the end as well. Do you feel that you've grown as a musician during all the time that has elapsed?
Yeah, I think I have. I've picked stuff up. Yeah, lots of. Yeah, I have. I'd like to grow more as a musician, because being brought up English, you have this thing of, there's this, you know, mentally you go to play something, and even before you pick it up, there's a little voice that says, don't bother. You know, you're not going to be very good on that, are you? You know. So I've learned to not listen to that. So I pick up the instrument now, and even though that little voice says, you can't do this and stuff, there's also, you know, the confidence that goes, no, I'm just going to get through this. I'm just going to play it anyway. And there's another voice. The same voice says, but you've got to do this properly. If you've got to do it, you've got to have lessons. And to write music, you've got to be, and you're never going to be as good as Rachmaninoff. You know, whatever it is. And you just have to actually go, well, it's what it is, and I'm just making a sound anyway. I'm making music, whatever it is. And I noticed that I can sit down on piano, and I've never had a lesson in my life, but my mum was quite good at typing. So I think I've got her typing skills. So I've just done this, and sat down, and things start to happen. I don't know what I'm doing, but feeling my way around, fumbling through the dark, and I can make some sounds. And
I mean, you've made some amazing sounds. What do you think are the best songs you've ever written across your whole career?
Well, I don't think they're songs that I've ever written. I think they're pop things that I've created, and sometimes been part of, because I don't do it all. That's the lovely thing.
Songs that you've been involved in, let's say then.
You know, like Kite. I mean, yes, yeah. I'd say Kite. It was like, Ian, can you just give me a boombah before I go home, because you know, I just want to play. So sends a boombah in my ears, and I just play my favourite chords and in my favourite rhythm, and before I go home I stick a bass on it where I just go, And I go, oh, actually, I'll just go da 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 da. Do that, and then I haven't got an idea. I haven't got what I'm going to do, and I get to the middle, and I just change it into some kind of chord that's. I go, oh, that's a bit silly. Oh, that's a bit silly. That's a bit silly. And then take it home, and then I had a book, and in the morning, just these words just fitted over it really easily, like life's like that, delicious with claws. You never get the truth, just promises galore. I'd had written down, and I never normally write that way, but this was, just instant things in your mind. And then I had another bit in the page, this book about, I'd seen this little TV film about a little Turkish boy going into prison with his mum, because mum was arrested for drugs. The children went in, and then the little boy flew a kite in the prison yard. I just liked that, don't let them shoot your kite down, and had that bit there, and it just fitted together. And I went in the next day and I sang it, and I remember not playing it thinking I'm not going to play this to Sony because they're not going to, this is just my personal bits of music that I like to make, and that ended up actually being, because I wasn't trying, I was just being creative. Whereas if you sit down there and you're trying to be creative, thinking, because it's very simplistic, very easy, you go, okay, you've been signed to a record company and they want hits. So I have to deliver hits to them. And that's a really uncreative process, because that's not actually how you arrived at that place in the first place. When you started a band, you didn't think that. You started a band and you thought, I want to be able to stand up on stage and do stuff, not write hits. It was about, you're in rehearsals and just going, we used to think like,
fun.
Yeah, we're doing this, and wow, that sounds really good. And that's the process.
Yeah.
So then you have to keep, and that's what I discovered around those times, that's the creative place. That's the writer's block, isn't it? When writers have had a successful book and they think, I've just been paid to do another book. What must I do? I must have another successful book. And that's the block in the way of just something coming naturally.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Kite is the only song I was going to ask you about because it's my favourite. So there you go. You've explained it. I've always loved it. I used to have it on repeat all the time. In fact, I was playing it today, and it'll probably go on repeat again tonight.
Wow.
That is my favourite song.
Well, everything in there is magic. The way it came was not planned. That's why I think it's got something. I've had like young kids say, that song, I was brought up on that song. What is it about that song? Because it's not like great chorus, is it? It's not like you go.
But it's
just a thing, isn't it? Yeah,
and you never get bored of it.
And it's magical the way it happened, and the way even the vocal was done in one take. Because I had my words, and I was going, life's like that, delicious with claws. You never get the truth, just promises galore. This is working, isn't it? Wow. And then it gets to the chorus solo. What am I going to sing? Oh, mother dear, don't let them shoot your kite down.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, this is. I remember, that's done, isn't it? And then it was a process of, this sounds done, and it sounds really good now. So we don't want to put real drums on it, and we don't want to colour it in too much. So it was a process of keeping stuff off.
Yeah.
Just little dabbles here and there. Keeping it naive, like naive art.
Yeah, I bet. Absolutely amazing. Thanks a lot for that. But did you? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Fantastic. If for our upcoming musicians, these days, when you started the music and these days, I know the musical landscape has completely changed. Do you think it's sort of easier or harder, sort of now? And what advice would you have for people just starting out now?
Well, it's easier. It is easier because you can just start and you just do stuff, and it's great. It's easier for me, and I'm not a new artist, but it's easier, a lot easier. I've made an album, it's a lot easier, and to get that album out will be really easy. I was thinking the other day, wow, you made a video and it was shown once on breakfast TV if you were lucky, or on the chart show that was around, and then that was it, gone. But now you make something, a little film, and it's there, and it's just there always, and it doesn't matter when it was made or when people find it. It's new to them when they find it. Things are just out there now.
But
I really like
to
that.
make your own mark so strongly because there's so much out there as well.
Well, I do feel sorry for people that, like, somebody was saying to me, "Oh, have you heard that new singer called Megan from Swindon?" or something like that. I'd like, no, and I thought, well, Megan, if she, wherever she is, she's doing stuff. It's a shame that she hasn't got Top of the Pops. You know, that old structure. It's a bit to actually have, so she can sort of like be launched into the whole of the country at once and have that little taste of what it's like to actually be. And I know there's programs like X Factor and stuff and things, but it's not the same as that time when you were you know, on a TV program, and you, for that week that your record went in and everybody was talking about you, and you were kind of, you know, Megan would be, wow, have you seen that new singer called Megan? She's amazing. I've got to check her album out and do that stuff. I know it kind of similarly happens, but it's not the whole old ladies knowing about who Megan is and everybody knowing her, Megan, and she's the new thing and she's invented and there she is. Now it's a bit like you stop somebody in the street and say George Ezra, and if they're not a certain age, they're going to go, oh, who's that? You know, and
that, there's so much out there. That's the problem. It's very sort of has its own channels. So people, you can go under the radar unless it's that directed at you in a way. I guess.
So I miss that structure, but so it's harder in that way, but it's easier in, you know, because what Megan will do now, I suppose, is she'll have all those other things. I think they can be a bit distracting, because I don't really worry about what the structures are. But however, you know, I'm still doing the same thing. You still have to pick up a guitar or a piano, and it just happens. You still have to stand aside and just allow this thing to happen.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thanks a lot for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything else you'd like to say to Music News watchers?
Well, you know, I've lost for words, really. Hi, I've got nothing to say. You know, cheers, and have a magical, beautiful life.
Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers.
A pleasure.
Cheers.